it is an opportunity for us to share our story, to share our vision, to share what makes us different as a company.
Today on LawNext, we will have some breaking news about a company that has been on this podcast before, ASG LegalTech, which is the parent of 3 practice management platforms, Practice Panther, Bill for Time, and Maris Case, and of the e-billing platform, HeadNote. My guests today are Soumya Nettimi, the CEO of ASG LegalTech, and Colin Li, the Chief Growth Officer of the company. We'll get to today's interview in just a moment, but first, let's hear from the sponsors who generously support LawNext. And now, on to this week's interview. Soumya and Colin, welcome to the show.
Hi, Bob. It's great to be back on LawNext today. Excited to chat with you and Colin.
Great to be here. Big time fan.
Yeah. Thank you, Colin. Thanks. And Soumya, as you said, you have been on the show before. You were on back in September when you announced the acquisition of the electronic payments company HeadNote, along with Sarah Schaff, the founder of that company, who is now with you. So happy to have you back. And we're back today with more breaking news, I'm excited to say, and we'll get to that in just a moment. But why don't we start off by having you let our listeners know more about ASG LegalTech, who you are and what you do.
Definitely. And thank you again, Bob, for having us back. It was great chatting with you in September, and I'm excited to talk again today. I'm happy to share a little bit more about our company, although I will have to try to not give away our news in the process. So as you said, I'm the CEO of a company that has been known as ASG LegalTech. We are a platform of legal SaaS products that include 3 practice management products and 1 payment solution, Practice Panther, Bill for Time, Maris Case, and HeadNote. The mission of our company is very simplistically to allow lawyers to automate and streamline the management aspects of their firms so that they can spend more time on practicing law and growing their businesses. Before this, I spent my career across investing and operating roles, including stints at Blackstone, AWS, and Serena and Lilly. And as you know, because we talked about this when I started this journey in legal tech when I took on the CEO role at Practice Panther about 3 years ago, when it was acquired by Alpine Investors. And then we formed ASG LegalTech with the addition of Bill for Time and Maris Case in early 2019. We just added HeadNote to the family last time we spoke on this podcast, which is also when we started offering native online payments capabilities within our practice management solutions.
Yep. So yeah, I guess I should have said the company formerly known as ASG LegalTech, because that gets to the news you have today. So why don't you tell us what's going on?
Definitely. So we're very excited to announce the launch of our new parent company brand, Paradigm. Paradigm will replace the name ASG LegalTech, as we have alluded to. And at Paradigm, we'll continue to offer the suite of software solutions that we have today, including Practice Panther, Bill for Time, Maris Case, and HeadNote. I think while this could sound merely like a cosmetic change, we're really excited about it because it creates a unified brand and vision for our collective business. On the name Paradigm itself, when people hear the word paradigm, they typically think of paradigm shift. And with that, what we want to communicate with our rebrand is that our mission is to fundamentally shift the standard for legal technology. Paradigm is also associated with the word perspective. So what this brand also communicates is that we have a really strong perspective on what legal tech should provide to its customers. I'm sure we'll get into this in a lot more detail, but our strongest perspective is that not all law firms are created equal, and a one-size-fits-all technology approach just doesn't exist. By having the suite of solutions that we have offered and will continue to offer, we're aligning with this perspective by offering tailored solutions to firms based on their specific needs, practice area, and size. So all in with this new brand, we're excited to share more about our vision, how we've operated, and how we will continue to operate and push boundaries in the future.
Yeah, I really like the name. I think it's a really evocative name of, as you said, it has multiple meanings and carries various kinds of implications for the industry. And I also know because of talking to you before that you've been thinking about this rebrand for a while. I mean, I wonder if you could just talk a little bit more about that, Colin or Soumya, whoever wants to, about what it was that kind of led you to this, to wanting to rebrand the company and to beginning that process.
Definitely. I'll kick this off, and then I would love to pass it to Colin, who I know would love to add more. I think what would be helpful is just to start a little bit with the history of the business. So when you take a step back, this journey really started in 2017 when we acquired Bill for Time. Bill for Time, as you know, Bob, was essentially the first native SaaS solution in the market. The time tracking technology they launched in 2006 was unlike anything the industry had seen before. In the decade that followed, we saw many legal tech businesses get their start, and Maris Case, Practice Panther, and Headnote were leaders in that wave of innovation. In those kind of 3 to 4 years since we started the journey with Bill for Time, we have transformed a ton as a company. We went from a team of 20 based primarily in Seattle to a team of 100 worldwide. We grew from serving 5,000 customers to over 40,000 today. And on the product side, we transformed from our time and billing point solution to a suite of 4 world-class legal practice management and payment solutions. During this time, we've been pretty heads down on the business and on our customers. I would say our focus has been very much to make the best products in the world and to meet our customers' needs. It's almost funny or ironic to say this, but as our individual products are so well known in the industry, but we've kind of operated a little bit under the radar as ASG LegalTech and as a collective business. So when we pulled our heads up in 2020, we basically realized that we at ASG LegalTech needed a brand that wasn't a placeholder brand, but actually represented who we are, what we've built, and how we will continue to operate and push boundaries in the future. I know a lot of companies have gone through branding processes, and I think everyone who has knows it can be kind of the most challenging and fun project. So after months of deliberation, and I would say something like 100 names that were brainstormed and vetted.
So many names.
We landed on Paradigm. And we're also very, very excited about it. And I think I'll actually pass it to Colin to talk a little bit about a little bit more about the name and kind of the product suite and what this all means.
Yeah. Colin?
Yeah, and the other thing I wanted to say about that is, one is, we did like our old name, ASG LegalTech, but I think just Paradigm just really embodies the identity of our company a little bit better. And then on the timing front of Paradigm, with such a transformative year of 2020 and going into 2021, we thought the timing was just perfect for the paradigm shift that we are leading and helping contribute to in this industry. I love the name, and as Soumya said, we went through a long internal process.
Yeah, what is that process like? I mean, were you just kind of all sitting around putting names up on sticky notes on a whiteboard somewhere or something? I guess you weren't doing that because you're all working virtually. But how did you go about doing that?
Yeah, so it was a really fun process, and it was really just driven by 2 things, and these are the 2 most important things to us. It's our employees, our team, and our interactions with our customers, and how we think about that. So our initial round of brainstorming was company-wide. We had everybody on a town hall meeting in Zoom, and we facilitated a big brainstorming session. And there's so many names, Bob, that came through it. We had an internal committee that came together, our internal rebrand committee that was just really passionate about this project. And as you know, just like naming a child or finding a domain, it's never that simple. But we landed on this name Paradigm, this brand Paradigm that just came out amongst the dust. We had a couple other ones that kind of fell by the wayside, but once this one popped up, Soumya and I looked at each other and said, "Hey, this is the one."
I know how challenging that can be. Just from naming this podcast, I went through the process of coming up with a name for this podcast, and so many of the good names are all taken out there. That's part of the problem, especially if you want anything with law or legal or something in it.
Totally.
Yeah. So what does this mean for the brands that come under the Paradigm umbrella?
Yeah, absolutely. And this is something that we had a lot of conversations about. Do we, rebrand all the products? Do we, or do we do kind of a house of brands? And long story short, the individual brands, the individual products, they're remaining the same. And it's for a couple reasons. Number one, the individual brands themselves have such a strong identity with our customers. And people know Practice Panther and have a strong identity with not only the product, but the personality that comes along with it. Same with Bill for Time and same with Maris. And our customers love Maris for being Maris or Practice Panther for being Practice Panther. And we want to keep that magic. And as you know, Bob, we have no plans to combine or integrate our products other than HeadNote, which is kind of like a product addition to our practice management solutions. And keeping our brand separate really shows that to the world and our customers, how much we still want to invest in those particular brands and products.
Yeah. Does as you said, the ASG LegalTech, Soumya, I think you said this earlier, was not very well known as a name compared to the names of the brands that come under the ASG LegalTech umbrella. Do you think that will change now with this new name, with the Paradigm name? Do you plan to have that be more front and center?
Yeah, I think it will. I think that is part of the intention around having this brand. It is an opportunity for us to share our story, to share our vision, to share what makes us different as a company. And so naturally, I think what will come out of that is Paradigm as a brand and as a company is just more well known than ASG LegalTech was. We didn't really invest in that with ASG LegalTech because we were and continue to be just focused on the individual products. But I think you will get that from Paradigm. I think the other thing that we're just very, very excited about is the kind of unified mission and vision this gives our team. So we have folks, and we can talk a little bit more about the team in a bit, but we have folks who work on one of the products but are part of the larger company. We have folks that work across all 4 products. And now you just have a place for every single employee to have a brand that they resonate with in addition to the individual product they work on if they work on one of the individual products. So long story short, I think the answer to your question is yes. And I think that will happen intentionally, but also unintentionally as this brand just kind of gains awareness and our story is out there more.
Yeah. Probably the all important question for some people listening to this podcast will be, I'm a customer of Practice Panther or of Maris Case or any of your other products. What does this mean to me? How will things change now?
I think, yes, I think that is the question. And I think the very simple answer is nothing changes except you have more information, which I think we've always been good about providing our customers with this information, but maybe just a website to go to, right. Simplistically, where you can find more information about the parent company. I think it's more information, but I don't, other than that, nothing changes. I think more information around the team and how we're sharing resources and how we're kind of helping, how each of our individual products help the others grow and learn and all of that. But from a customer experience perspective, from a product perspective, the same that has been true for the past 3 to 4 years will be true moving forward, which is customers can kind of continue to expect to rely on the same level when it comes to our products and level of customer service that they've had for the last couple years and decades.
And just double clicking on the visibility standpoint on our team, I think it gives us a chance, Bob, to just show a little bit more of our team's values, our what kind of place Paradigm is to work and what we kind of believe in. And I think you look at the marketplace these days, and one thing people buy for is function, and customers like products that do good things for them. But secondly, where the values really align, and with this new branding and this new approach we're taking, I think they'll be able to see that really clearly. Like who are they doing business with? And I think our customers are going to be really happy about what they see.
You've both referenced now the team and what this means to them. I wonder if you could tell me a little bit more about what that team looks like and how they work together. I mean, you've acquired these various companies over the course of a couple of years now. And as you say, they operate as separate brands. What does it look like, kind of behind the scenes at Paradigm? How is this team How does it operate? How does it work together or not work together?
Great question. We operate with the core principle that we are better together. Over the past few years, I think the way this has played out is we've been able to experiment more quickly. We've been able to take learnings from one product to the full suite. We do a lot of sharing best practices across products and teams, and essentially always kind of working to better both the individual products and the collective whole. I think one example, just to bring that to life, is the most recent conversation that we had on this podcast, which was about our acquisition of HeadNote and our launch of Panther Payments. We learned a tremendous amount, both about onboarding, about specific features, about what customers wanted just from launching Panther Payments about 3 months ago. All of this knowledge has helped our product teams at Bill for Time and Mariscase avoid some of the same mistakes that we made and build a similarly solid native payment solution using HeadNote's technology just as quickly, if not quicker. There are a lot of different examples like that, but when you look under the hood at our business, we have one Slack, one email that we're all unified on. We have weekly town halls with all 100 employees, but then we also have separate and nimble product teams and customer service teams, the organizations or the departments, I'll say, that need to be most nimble and move really, really quickly to serve our customers, stay nimble. And then the places where we can benefit from the combination of resources and best practices is where we kind of operate together. So it's a little bit of the best of both worlds. I often tell people when we're talking to people in interview processes, you kind of have the best of being part of a big company, but then the best parts of being at a startup where you can move really quickly and release features really quickly, and an idea can be put to action much faster than you'd see in a big organization. So that I hope that kind of answers your question and gives you some clarity as to what it looks like underneath. But a little bit of both is kind of how we work and how we make the better together goal reality.
Yep.
And this plays out kind of on the customer level. In March, when the pandemic started, we had a lot of customers who were going fully remote for the first time, and there were a lot of our customers across the products were sort of in limbo. Some of them were able to make that transition really successful. And just our customer success and customer service teams are learning from one another and learning from how they were able to support some of these customers in making that transition was crucial for the collective whole. So we work together a lot, and it's we've come out on top each time.
Yeah, you're making this announcement in the first week of January 2021, and we are all keeping our fingers crossed that this will be a much better year than the last year in many ways. It certainly was a year like probably none of us have ever experienced before. I wonder how the events of this past year have shaped your thinking about if they've shaped your thinking at all about how you wanted to brand and position the company, and if they're shaping your thinking about what you want to do with this company going forward.
We went through this rebrand process in the heart of 2020. So I think short answer is yes, it definitely shaped how we think about it. Yeah. And then it's such a good question. And I think, we could probably have our own separate podcast on all of the events of 2020 yes. and how they kind of influenced how we're thinking about the world today. But I think there are probably two things that are coming up for me as you asked that question, Bob. And I guess even before I get into the two, I think the headline is that crises just tend to accelerate trends we're already seeing in the market. Mm-hmm. And while 2020 was an insanely unique type of crisis, I think that overall theme still applies. And I think we saw that with the article you wrote, Bob, with the 20 trends of 2020 that you just wrote and released a couple of days ago. But we're also seeing that with a lot of the things that we're seeing in our business. And I think the two trends that I think about that influence Paradigm and then also influence our strategy for 2021. The first is the obvious one, so I won't even talk about it for too long, but just the acceleration of digital transformation. What this meant and how it played out in our world is that it basically meant having a practice management system became table stakes to running a successful and profitable law firm. There was no time or slack in the system for lawyers or paralegals to spend multiple days per month doing things like invoicing, billing, or manually tracking workflows. And along with that, as we saw this shift to this kind of more permanently distributed and remote workforce, we also saw on-premise technology, which had been shrinking relative to the cloud, kind of lose that last leg to stand on, as firms realized they needed to operate in the cloud for all of the same benefits that have always existed, but kind of became prerequisites in 2020. So when I think about that trend as a whole, I mean, I think that just double clicks on everything that we're doing. It's, hey, can we show up for our existing customers, for prospective new customers, and make sure that we have everything they need to kind of make that transition into a digital world? And then I think the second trend that's a little bit more interesting that we noticed in 2020 and before 2020 and also in 2020 is what I like to call internally one-stop shop, but not one size fits all. Mm-hmm. And on the one-stop shop side, I mean, tech has been around in law for a very long time. But for decades, lawyers, along with many other professionals, would use 10 or 20 different tools to get their work done. Maybe one tool for tracking time, another for payments, another for workflow management or client intake. I think the trend that we've seen is that firms want and need that one-stop shop technology. No one wants to use 20 different systems to get their work done or run their business, and no one wants their data scattered across multiple systems. And then on the one-size-fits-all piece of this, the other thing that I alluded to at the beginning when we announced Paradigm is that COVID really highlighted the diversity of the legal industry. A large law firm that works primarily in insurance defense has very different needs to a solo family law practice. Mm-hmm. We've always known that, but just seeing the impact on law firms this year, I mean, if you look at our customer base, we saw some customers who had the best year ever in 2020, and then we saw some customers whose revenue went to zero for 3 or 4 months mm-hmm. during the depth of the pandemic. And I think that really comes back to kind of who we are and how we operate, which is, or what we believe, which is law firms need and deserve specific technology that's the right fit for their specific needs, practice area, size, et cetera. And I think that's the trend that, acceleration of digital transformation always going to get folks excited who work in the space of legal tech. But I think this second one, which is a little bit more nuanced, gets me really excited, as I think it's one of the reasons what we do is going to be so important as we get into 2021 and beyond.
Yeah, well, really 3 parts to that. I mean, the first part was just, as you said, the practice management became table stakes, and
yep.
I as you say, I kind of talked a little bit about this in my year-end review with regard to investments, because it was an interesting year for practice management companies, insofar
yes.
as a number of them were acquired or received significant investments. And the other thread, it looked to me that was critical there, was this e-payments part of it, which again, of course, you've kind of fully dove into with your acquisition of HeadNote back in September. But do you think that's fair? I mean, has e-payments as part of that equation really kind of risen up in importance as a result of the events of this past year?
100%. The answer is yes, Bob. And this is we're seeing it kind of with our current customer base now, with just logistically with how they're getting paid by their customers with the pandemic and moving to remote, but also on the investing side, as you mentioned, like in 1 month we launched Panther Payments in September, and then shortly afterwards, another company called ProfitSolve was formed, emerging TimeSolve and Rocket Matter and LexCharge, right. And then Apex acquiring MyCase, with payments really being the center of it all. And we're seeing it really accelerate. And I know you mentioned practice management being table stakes. We're seeing that as practice management plus payments now being table stakes.
Yeah.
I think the one thing I'd add is I think it all goes into that one-stop shop technology. I think yeah. that software fatigue is real, and I think we all live it, right? Like we mm-hmm. all use 20 different tools mm-hmm. to just get through our days. And so I think having one tool where you can do everything, and payments is the most natural fit for the largest number of law firms, right? Getting paid electronically through your practice management system is just so valuable. So I do think that's the direction the industry will go. In the 3 months since we launched Panther Payments, I mean, I think, it's one thing to acquire HeadNote and then talk about it. It's another thing to see the customer reaction to it. And it has been immense. Like, customers are so excited to have everything in one place, not have to leave the system to do anything related to payments. It feels really seamless. It feels automated. Like we have so many good stories from our customers and how much time and money and everything this has saved them. And then the data actually backs it up too. We had over 1,000 customers sign up in the 3 months after we launched, which is far and beyond what we expected. And just, I think, again, just a sign that there's payments is a real need in the legal industry. And I think you'll see more and more firms kind of go into that space because it's almost the most obvious of everything out there.
Yeah. And you, after acquiring HeadNote, you had talked about integrating that capability into some of your other products. At some point, have you become any more? Have you firmed up your plans in that regard anymore since last time we talked?
Yes, we have. We don't have a launch date that we are announcing quite yet, but you will be the first to know, Bob.
Okay.
But definitely, Bill for Time is kind of on the cusp, so you'll see that relatively soon, and then Mayor's Case, sometime thereafter, without being too specific and having our product team get mad at me.
Yeah.
But we're really excited about it, and like I said, I mean, it's just been so fun to have the HeadNote team, the Bill for Time team, the Practice Panther team collaborating, because we've just learned so much from the Practice Panther launch. And the Bill for Time customer is different, but there are things on our end that we've learned that we can then take to that launch and just make it even better than what we had with Practice Panther, or at least faster or something to get out there. Right.
The product team can't get mad at you. They've been saying all these nice things about them all during the show. So
this is true. Speaking of the product team, I think the one thing we haven't really talked about is just the products and our suite of products. I don't know, Colin, would you want to kind of touch on that a little bit before we move on to a different topic?
Yeah, the kind of blanket that I want to put over this is just saying, and it comes back to our thesis that we acknowledge that not all law firms are the same, and we can't fit them with a one-size-fit-all approach. And our vision is to be able to provide something for every law firm, regardless of size, practice area, and need. And this, it really comes together with our suite of products. So we have four, as you guys, as you two have alluded to. One, Practice Panther, which is a really easy to use, intuitive, all-in-one practice management solution for firms that just want an end-to-end feature set right out of the box. Then we have Bill for Time, which is a legal time and billing solution that's very simple and easy to use for the solo and small firm, but also robust and kind of customizable for a big enterprise firm where you have a lot of integrations. 3, we have Mayor's Case, which is a very robust case management product that's really tailored like a glove to the needs of firms who specialize in work comp, personal injury, employment and labor, and criminal defense. If you're in one of those categories, this is going to be the best product for you. And then lastly, it's HeadNote, which is our leading legal online payments processing solution, and really the technology behind Panther Payments, and soon to be for our in-house payments solution for Bill for Time and Mayor's as well. So,
and so what is next for that suite? Is there another part that you guys are looking at that you're thinking there's one part we don't have yet, or there's something missing here, or there's something we'd like to have? I mean, without naming particular products, or is there somewhere else that you want to build that out?
I think about it in two ways. I think about it just as, organically, what features are we adding to each of these products to better fit the end customer, and we think about that very separately, right? We're not, hey, we want to do one feature. That payments was the exception because most, if not all, law firms need some form of online payments. I would say most, not all. But with other features, it's, a Practice Panther customer needs something very different than a Mayor's Case or Bill for Time customer. So on the what's next, we have we're kicking off 2021 with very, very robust roadmaps and a couple of really great feature announcements coming even in the next few weeks and months. So excited about that. And then I think maybe, Bob, what you were alluding to is what's next on the acquisition front as well. And I think what I can say there is there's nothing imminent, but we think about it in two ways. One is like what we did with payments? Is there something that we can acquire where we can integrate it in? And again, not an integration like a third-party integration, but take the technology and build it in natively to our existing products to offer our existing customers something that they didn't have before and that would add a lot of value? Mm-hmm. Or is there another technology out there where what we do at Paradigm as a business can add value to that business, right? Where the power of the amount of data and resources and team that we have can add value to those customers, and where we feel like we can do a lot with that product and serve the industry even better with having that product in our suite of solutions. So on the former, there is a lot planned for 2021 that we're really, really excited about, and we'll definitely be announcing over the course of the year. And then on the latter, I would say nothing imminent, but we're always on the lookout, and we're always kind of having conversations to see if there's anything out there that could be a good fit.
We'll get back to my interview in just a moment, but first, let's take a break to hear from the sponsors who generously support LawNext. Now, let's get back to this week's interview. We've talked about how this past year has driven a lot of legal professionals, a lot of attorneys, driven home, at least for them, the importance of practice management software, of e-billing, e-payment software. What happens in 2021? We're just stepping into this year now. You've talked about the paradigm shift and rebranded your company according to that. What does the next year look like, do you think? And not just for the company, but for your customers as well and for the market.
Yeah, and I think those kinds of questions are intertwined, and really for our customers, and the vaccine. We'll see what happens with kind of the vaccine. Fingers crossed. And a lot of our customers are going to be thinking about in 2021 and kind of in the future, like, do they transition back to partially or fully in office? Do they even go back to an office? So is kind of practice management solution the way they and some of these tools, the way their primary source of collaboration. Two, I think staffing is really big for a lot of our customers during this era, this period. A lot of firms had to downsize their headcount, and with business looking to rebound post COVID, and ideally later this year, a lot of our customers will think about, do they actually need such a large staff to run their business, or are they able to maintain kind of like more of like a lean staff with all the efficiencies that they've been able to get with some of these tools like ours? I think a few things we're looking to that are going to really stay. It's new firms and existing firms. If you haven't moved to a practice management and all-in-one solution yet, you will. It makes the world of difference. Online payments adoption is going to continue rolling and be kind of the standard, and really we're seeing a bit of a trend of just these fully virtual law firms, and some that sprout up. We just did a customer feature on a few customers at Practice Panther who started virtual during the pandemic, launched their firms that way. And I think we're going to see a lot more of those. So kind of their starter kit and a law firm in a box. And the way we're thinking about it is, hey, let's build more feature sets. Let's build more. Let's ramp up our customer service to be able to serve these folks.
Yeah. Soumya, what about you? What are you seeing as we step into this new year and look ahead?
I think the other thing that I agree with everything Colin said, and I think the other thing that's coming up for me is just there is a backlog of legal work that needs to be done. Yeah. So I think there is, last year
possibly a deluge of legal work yet to come too.
Right, exactly. A backlog in literally every way, every part of the funnel. But I think, last year was a tough year for people individually, for people at work, people with their businesses. And I think, it goes without saying that it was a really hard year for the legal industry. The combination of everything that was just COVID general, and then everything that was very specific to the legal industry just made it tough. And I think as we look to 2021, I think there's a lot to look forward to, both as a lawyer and also as a legal tech provider. On the legal tech provider stuff, we've already talked about it. There's just folks have finally, realized they need technology and the benefits of technology. And so I think a lot of the growth that a lot of legal tech providers saw even in 2020 will continue in 2021. But on the lawyers and the legal kind of law firm side, I think that backlog will mean we're seeing an increase in employment this year. We saw a decrease in employment last year. I think that there's going to be a fair amount of growing pains, which are good problems to have for the most part. And I think that is just something I know we look forward to for our customers, and a lot of customers are looking forward to. I'm not saying it's going to be easy. I think there's a lot of things we all need to figure out. Are we going back to our offices? Are we staying remote? What's going to, how do we all work together in this new normal? When does this new normal occur? But I think that's the piece that I'm looking forward to on behalf of our customers, which is just more business that's been sitting there, and kind of a proof point that the legal industry and the work that the lawyers do is essential work. It's not going anywhere. It, for the most part, can't be automated. Like it is around, and it's around to stay. And I think you'll see a lot of that proven out in 2021.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I always hate to ask people. Well, I always ask people for predictions, but I hate it when people ask me for predictions. And I've been thinking a lot this year about all the predictions people gave last January and how way off they all were. Because who knows? But
so, Bob, what are your predictions?
Yeah. Yeah, you'll notice I never write year-end articles where I make predictions. I only try and sum up what happened the past year. That's so much easier. But
I think a really great kind of drill down example of, and we'll see this with kind of our customer base is if you look at these different practice areas and how they were impacted and what the rebound might look like. I mean, one that's big in our mind is immigration. I think we'll see. We'll see immigration, that segment really bounce back with prospects of international travel currently at halt, but and the political climate during COVID. The immigration firm, our immigration firm customers took a big hit, but we're really predicting a strong bounce back with some of the new legislation and the return of travel, fingers crossed, post COVID. And the other one, which is the biggest practice area that we see in the country is personal injury, where historically so much of that business came from claims on vehicle injuries, and with social distancing and intra-city travel and driving around coming to a big slowdown, those firms took a big haircut, and with kind of some of this recovery and vaccine that we're predicting, hopefully that's going to come back, and we're looking forward to it to serve some of these customers.
Yeah, I would also think, I know a lot of Maris case customers are also practicing employment law, and I'm anticipating that we're going to see a lot of activity in the employment law area this year. I mean, we already have. In 2020, but I think as things start to kind of filter out from the past year, there are going to be a lot of people with a lot of questions about their employment status, and a lot of companies facing some challenges to some of the moves they made over the year.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
Well, I don't think we ever mentioned this, but you now have a website up. As I said before, for ASG LegalTech, there was not a website for that brand. Now Paradigm has a website at joinparadigm.com, right?
That's right. Joinparadigm.com. We're really proud of the website. I'm really excited for everyone to kind of interact with us there. And a few things that you'll be able to find on the website. One is just learning about our story and our team and what our values are. And then two is we're always looking for fantastic, great legal talent or legal tech talent to join us. We're doing a lot of hiring. We're growing tremendously. So it's a great kind of way for us to be able to interact with the talent in the industry. And then three, just potential partners and friends of, friends in the industry like Bob who cover the industry to be able to interact with us from a thought leadership perspective. We're excited to roll out some new articles and some thought pieces around the industry and really contribute that way.
Well, before we wrap up, let me just ask you each if you have any further thoughts on any of this that you want to share with our audience before we conclude for the day. Soumya, how about you?
I do. I think, we're sitting here recording this on January 4th. So it's just such an interesting time as we wrap up 2020, kick off 2021 and launch this brand. And I think the thing that I would be remiss not to say, but I also just deeply feel is just this launching Paradigm is a huge milestone for our company. And I just want to say that we're extremely grateful for the individuals that helped us get here. And I think, we've talked about both groups of these individuals, but our customers, our team, on the former, we just wouldn't be here if our customers in the industry hadn't put immense trust in us and each of our individual brands, but also us as people. And so with the launch of Paradigm, we've talked a lot about how it won't change the customer experience, but I also want to emphasize that with the launch of Paradigm, we promise to kind of continue to innovate, to continue to improve on a daily basis. And then on the team front, 2020 was, I don't know, put everyone through the ringer is probably the easiest way to put it. And we just wouldn't be able to do this if we didn't have the truly incredible team that we have today, who have persevered in the face of challenges ranging from growing pains. We did it all in 2020. We had a hiring freeze for a while, and then we hired for all the folks that we had the hiring freeze for and all of the new folks all in like a 2-month period. So lots of growing pains there. Getting through a global pandemic last year and everything. And our team has remained so firmly committed to our customers in the industry. And as we launch Paradigm and as we kind of share our story with the world, I just wanted to say that I'm personally very grateful as we kick off this year and this new chapter as a company.
And Colin, how about you? Any final thoughts?
This launch and our new brand is really an encapsulation too of the resilience of our both our team and our customers, like Soumya mentioned, and I'm just really proud to be serving both. And we made it through a really rough stretch and are coming out stronger, and that's what this whole game is all about. And I'm just really proud.
Well, I think this is the first time I've ever done a podcast in which the titles of my guests have changed over the course of the time we've been talking. I introduced you, Soumya, as the CEO of ASG LegalTech, and now I can say you are the CEO of Paradigm. And Colin Li, thanks to you, Chief Growth Officer of formerly ASG LegalTech and now of Paradigm. Thanks for coming on today and sharing your story of this rebranding. It's exciting news, and I look forward to further developments.
Thank you for having us, and it was great to chat about it today.
Thanks again to Soumya Nettimi, CEO of Paradigm, and Colin Li, Chief Growth Officer, for joining us today to share the story of their rebranding. You can find the new Paradigm website and read more about it at joinparadigm.com. That's joinparadigm.com. LawNext is produced and edited by Populous Radio. I'm your host, Bob Ambrogi. I hope you'll join us again next time for another episode of LawNext.